Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down my portfolio and talking about the specific gains and losses within my portfolio for today. And then we'll also be discussing the stock market moves, the moves that the stock market has been making recently, which it has kind of been a little bit strange because I think for the past 4 days that we've had this week, it has just been nothing but us constantly in the green. So we definitely need to talk about that because it's like 4 days in a row of nothing but green days. Usually within there you think there'd be like one red day just sprinkled in there just to keep things balanced, but to have 4 in a row, it's definitely like one of those events where it makes you think, okay, are we about to hit the peak right here? When certain people start talking about investing that never talk about investing, that's usually when you realize that we're getting near the peak of investing. I remember one time it was a meme on Wall Street Bets because Pokimane asked if she should buy Tesla stock. So that's really like, that honestly kind of gives you an idea of when we are getting into some really high points within the bull market, when you start hearing people talk about investing that you would have never expected to talk about that. But anyways, if you all enjoy these types of videos and just appreciate this content, please make sure to smash that like button. It really does help me out, and I definitely appreciate it. But anyways, jumping into the main topic, we have, like I said, another positive green day in the stock market, and we had a really strange move right as we hit the normal market hours. From 9:30 to 9:35, it absolutely skyrocketed. So it was kind of strange to see it start out like in the pre-market at this level, you know, the 30% level, and then all of a sudden it just skyrockets up to like plus 1.30%. So that's definitely a strange move, but this morning started off very bullish, as you can see. And of course, the pre-market is always going to be a little bit different in terms of just where it's at compared to the normal market hours. There's sometimes where the pre-market will be like very, very in the green, like in the positive, and then all of a sudden once normal market hours hits, it's just, you know, under the line, it's in the red. And then also some other times pre-market's in the negative, and after it breaks out of pre-market into the normal market hours, then it's in the green. So today was kind of weird. It was kind of one of those days where it absolutely skyrockets after pre-market. I'm definitely not complaining, but as you can see, we had a pretty solid balance between all three of these stocks, and it is kind of strange to see Apple at 0%. At first I thought that was a glitch, but then I realized it's just right on the line at the end of the day. So perfectly balanced as all things should be, but at least we're in the green. I'd still like seeing that green number, even if it is 0%. It's better than a red number. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. But just discussing like my predictions for the future and things like that, I know I've been emphasizing some of my thoughts in previous videos, but I'll be completely honest with you, I haven't really kept up on the Rona numbers because I'm staying inside regardless, like I've emphasized previously. Some of my family members have autoimmune diseases, so I'm staying inside to protect them. That's what I've been doing for the past few months. So I have no idea on like what the cases are looking like right now, but I believe I did see an article talking about like Texas and Florida and then one other state that's like either at an all-time high or they reached like a new surge in cases. And I've seen a few articles from around the world as well. I can't remember where this was, if it was like Germany or somewhere, but I think there was like a huge outbreak in one factory and they're really trying to contain it right now, because if they don't contain it, then that's really going to be a big spreader when you have a densely populated area that is all infected with this virus and going home to their families and then their family spreading it to other people. So it is like a chain reaction type thing, and some areas across the world are experiencing big outbreaks right now, I believe. So that's something just to keep in mind. As we all know, we're with a second wave, it's almost given right now that there's going to be another huge outbreak. To me, it's like almost clear cut, but I think what really matters this time around is obviously I care about human life, I care about people. I don't want anybody to pass away from this virus, so keep in mind when I say this. But I think what really matters to people's perspectives in terms of the economy and the stock market this time around isn't really to do with as much of like how many people perish because of this virus, but investors' perspective is more to do with how they see other people reacting to this second wave. So for example, if everybody's business as usual and the businesses are still staying open and there's still people getting the Rona and, you know, still sadly some people dying from it as well, but the overall perspective of people is just to continue on with life, then I think investors will have a lot more positive outlook on that if we can just continue as usual. Because if the economy is still going, then that's really good for investors. And if businesses are open, then that's really good for investors. And if unemployment is lowering, then that's really good for investors. So like I said, obviously in an ideal world, I don't want anybody dying from this virus, but I think what really matters to investors right now, like what the stock market is really depending on, is less of like how many cases are going to happen in the future. It's less because of that, because I think at this point, it's pretty likely likely that there will be a second wave, and it seems like we're already starting in that direction. And especially with the winter months coming up, that's a big deal as well. Some people have been saying that as it warms up, the virus is less of a problem. So that's something to keep in mind as well. With the winter months, it may actually get much worse. I hope not. But the thing to really keep in mind is that I think what investors are looking for in terms of like them deciding to sell off and panic sell, or just, stay in the market and buy and hold long term, I think what really decides that is the reactions that investors see within society. Like if they're seeing people panic and stuff like it was with the first wave, and it's, total apocalypse scenario and it's looking like that, then I think we may have another stock market crash. But I also think there is a possibility that the stock market could continue on like normal in a positive direction. But I think that's only if we see sort of like a recovery or a back to the normal type of thing in society. So I think for that to happen, investors have to be, seeing things come together. And even with an uptick in cases, businesses still being open and stuff like that. Like the stuff that looks good on the surface level, even though we know everything isn't okay under that first layer. So in my opinion, I think this is what really is the game changer for the stock market. It's really what's going to, influence the up or down movement. So like I said, I think it's likely for the stock market to continue on as normal and be in like this bull run that we've been having ever since the recovery. But I feel like that possibility has a lot to do with how people react to the virus. Like I've mentioned before, we have some experience with the first wave of the virus. So at least coming into the second one, if there is a second one, then, we have that experience to use from our first time. And nothing is going to be super new to us, even if it is a lockdown. But keep in mind, if there are lockdowns once again, which I think in the second wave, it's kind of a guaranteed thing, especially across some states like New York and stuff. There'll probably be another lockdown in New York if there is a second wave. That's going to negatively impact the economy. So that's another thing as well. It's not just one side or the other. It's not just, if there's a positive outlook, then the stock market keeps going on a bull run. And if there's a negative outlook and lockdowns, then, the stock market just crashes. I feel like there's some middle ground to this as well, where there can be like a volatility style kangaroo market like they said we've been seeing lately. So if there are lockdowns in some of the bigger states that do contribute significantly to the economy like New York, but then some other states are still open and stuff like that, then I think that's going to lead to a mix of results between both the good results and the bad results, which would be like some volatility within the stock market. So there's definitely a lot of possibilities here, but in my personal perspective, like my opinion is that I think there could be another lockdown. It's feeling pretty likely right now because at least from what I know locally and stuff, there's a lot more people around me getting the Rona. So that's just something to keep in mind. It feels like right now we are just way too far past the edge, and we're in the risk zone. I'm being very cautious right now, but as we all know, it's impossible to predict the market consistently, so it's kind of difficult to do these sort of like prediction videos where I talk about like my predictions, even though I know it's impossible to really consistently know. It's basically just guessing at this point, but it's still fun to entertain the idea of what comes next and what's happening next. Is the market going to crash? Is the stock market going to surge? And so many factors come into play that you can kind of get an idea and come up with this guess or prediction. But it's never one of those things like it's written in stone, because as many people know, a lot of people thought that the stock market would be going much farther down in terms of the bottom. And especially on March 23rd, I can guarantee there were so many people that were very confident that this was not the bottom. But as you all know, I like the dollar cost average and just simply buy. If I think it's a cheap price, then I buy. I don't, wait until the most optimized lowest point and risk me missing out on one of the cheapest days I've ever seen the stock price at. So that's what I do. I like the dollar cost average. If I see a cheap price, I buy it, save a little bit, some for later, and then I buy it even farther if it does go down more. And that's really what I did on March 23rd and the way down with Microsoft stock. So that's why I have such a good gain ratio on Microsoft, that plus 14.55%. That's a nice growth ratio for just only a few months of holding that stock. So anyways, that's my predictions part. Now we got to jump into the numbers for like the gains and losses today. Apple was negative for a second there, but we're back in the positive once again. So that's good to see. So first off, we have Microsoft stock currently at a share price of $196.32, and we got a nice 1.07% gain today. And for the most part, it was above the baseline and it was above after the 9:30 pre-market marker. So this stock did pretty well today. Microsoft always does pretty well, and I'm not very surprised, but I'm very satisfied. That's one thing that I love to see. I love to get on this app and see every single stock that I own in the green. But as you can see, it takes up about 44% of my portfolio. I own 195 shares. Average cost is about $171. And for today's return, we made about $406. Definitely solid. I'll take that any single day. And then for the total return, I'm at plus 14.55% or plus $4,862. So I'm very happy with Microsoft. And then next up, we have Tesla stock. It is at exactly $1,000. That's so perfect. That is so perfect. I don't think I've ever seen like a stock price just perfectly even on the cents at exactly 1,000. Like I said, perfectly balanced as all things should be. But portfolio diversity, 39%. I own 34 shares. Average cost is about $839. And then for today's return, we have plus 0.83%, which is about $279. And then for the total return, we're at plus 19.24%, which is at plus $5,485.38. And then finally, we have Apple stock, and it takes up about 17% of my portfolio. I own 42 shares, and my average cost is about $286. And for today's return, we are at plus 0.04%. So plus $5.88. That's about a meal from McDonald's. That's about 1 hour's worth of minimum wage, and I did nothing to get that. So even though it's a small amount of money, it's still basically free money. It's passive income. And although it's not realized until I sell, it's still something that I can look at and be satisfied with. And for the total return, I'm at a plus even 23%. That's very satisfying. And that's about plus $2,763 overall. So every single stock performed pretty well for me, and I can't really say anything bad about Apple either because that stock price has been skyrocketing recently, and at least it's not in the red today. Like I said, at least it's in the green, even if it is only a few dollars. It's still like a meal from McDonald's or a meal just from anywhere that's basically free food. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please make sure to smash that like button. If you just enjoy these simple portfolio updates, I know there's nothing crazy about them, but at least I get to share my portfolio and my progress so far. This is the all-time progress. This is something I like to look at the most because I can sort of like see how high my value is in my portfolio compared to its most recent peak on February 19th. So that's pretty cool to look at. And we have doubled our percentage since February 19th, which is absolutely crazy. I'm beating the market right now at plus 21.02%. So I'm very satisfied with the portfolio, and so far the concentration of money on only 3 stocks rather than diversification on many stocks has done pretty well for me, but I can't speak too soon because this is a long-term game. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and also feel free to sign up to Robinhood and Webull with my referral link if you would like to get some free stocks. If you sign up with those links, then we'll both get some free stocks. These are just a few examples of what you can get. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and thank you all for watching.